in terms of the other young players at this club, there's, I think Kieran Dowell's 23, and he signed a permanent deal there, and it was one which for us at Scouted, it was I'm quite pleased for him, because he had definitely struggled to find a home since winning the Under-20 World Cup with England in 2017, where he was actually a standout player. I think a lot of people, they might hear the name Kieran Dowell and go, well, who's that? Well, he won the World Cup with a lot of these prestigious England players who've gone on to be big names. But I think, I mean, from the outside looking in, and that's something which I use all the time on this podcast. But from the outside, it seemed as though Norwich was. Why was Norwich suddenly a better fit than Derby County? Oh, that's because there seems to be a structure in place. There seems to be a very amiable squad that he's easy to integrate into. Was that the case from day one with him, or and that was sort of represented on the pitch through his performances, or were there a bit of teething problems?
Yeah, I think with Kieran, for any player in Kieran's position, I think they must be really happy if Norwich come in for them, as they are at the moment, because it would strike me as just the ideal place to go, especially as your first move out of a big club. Kieran's Premier League debut actually came against Norwich at Goodison Park at the end of the 2015-16 season, I think, when Norwich were relegated, and he was so good that day, and I think everyone at Goodison Park loved him. And now there is a suggestion maybe some at Everton didn't really want to let him go, and Norwich were always delighted that they got him for the value they got him, and they've tried to do this Premier League recruitment in the Championship almost. These players have arrived because they're hoping that they will have developed this season and be able to offer something in the Premier League. And it will always stick with me. After the Reading game, Norwich had they sealed the title that day. Yeah, I think they did. And just speaking to Kieran Dowell about, going back to the Premier League, and he was like, his face was like he could not wait. He was ready for it. And I think with Norwich 2 years ago, you had a lot of players who were about to go into the Premier League, and it was a bit like, and almost like not daunted, but just this excitement and unknown and almost naivety in their eyes. I don't like people calling Norwich naive when they played. I think it was more complicated than that, but maybe a naivety in the players' minds. Kieran's not naive. He knows what the Premier League is. He just desperately wants to go at it, and it was like this hunger. So I think I think that bodes really well. I was surprised how well he was pressing in pre-season. I thought, and clearly Daniel Farke wanted him to do that quite hard and aggressively. Then in the first couple of league games, it kind of reverted back to maybe what I'd seen of Kieran when he played against Norwich, and it was a bit more passive, and I was a bit like, I want a bit more here. Then he injured his ankle in the second game, and that was it for 3 months basically. So, and it took them weeks to get that right. So I think what I would say with Kieran is the fact that he played pretty religiously for the past 2 months when he was fit in the number 10 role. I think Daniel wanted to give that time to Kieran to really get a handle of the role. There were games where he just drifted and you wouldn't have even known he was on the pitch. But I think in a way that is the kind of player he is. But I tell you what, when he's on it, he scores goals and he makes goals. And if I think Norwich would take someone who plays at sort of 7 out of 10 every week in the Premier League, but you might get the odd sort of goal involvement from him, and you always know he's there because he's working hard, but that quality isn't quite there over maybe 2 or 4 games a season, and you're like, okay, I think they maybe take that over someone who's going to really impact a really good handful of games, and you don't notice him in the others. And because Norwich need that, they need people who can win them games and really impact them and score goals. They got basically no goals from the number 10 position last time. We spoke about Emmy's goals and lack of those earlier. So at that level, so I find him a really interesting one next season, because again, I'm speaking. I've done 2 Norwich City podcasts, 3 in fact, I think, and they've all been convinced that Norwich need another number 10. And I'm like, no, let's see what Kieran Dowell's got. I think there's something there. I think there's a hunger there, and I might be completely wrong. But I tell you what, he's been brought in with that, and I just think it could be something that really brings the best out of him. And I'm sure we all hope that is the case, because he's a lovely footballer to watch, and he's got wonderful talent.
Yeah, I think he's got a fantastic appreciation of space, and I think that's where those goals and those assists come from. Because all it takes, he may have been drifting through a game, and it was similar at the World Cup. I mean, that was the last time I watched him regularly. And then a little bit after that. But it was very similar to, it was very Dutch in a way, in the sense that he'll be in the number 10 position and he'll sort of flit about a little bit and maybe do a few little wall passes here and there. But then at that crucial moment when he needs when the defense sort of really they constrict towards the byline, and then Kieran's just there in space. He's on the edge of the area, and he just takes the ball, either lays it off or takes a shot himself. And you think, it takes intelligence to not be sucked in by that. It takes intelligence to be to be aware of where you need to be on the pitch. And I think he's had a tough ride of it, not only with the number of clubs that he's had to be at, but also the injuries. So to see that Daniel Farke, obviously we talked about that man management, for him to have gone, you know what, I'm going to give these 2 months to you and see what you can do. What can you do to help impact my team here? And yeah, I think we're on the same page in the sense that I would like to see what Kieran Dowell can do at a Premier League club where he's actually given free reign. I feel like whenever he made appearances for Everton, it felt like he was on sort of the. I mean, I've just used reins, but he was on reins, like a little toddler or something. He was very much, he was being sort of. You knew he was going to be hooked back in, and he wasn't going to play for another 2 months or whatever. And that's not what a young player needs. They need continuity. And I think, yeah, I think that hopefully he can kick on in the Premier League next season.